All right, guys, we talked about the confidence drainers. Let's talk about the confidence builders. Obviously, simple, right? Things that can build your confidence, things that I'm very conscious of when it comes to building my confidence, things I apply to my life, every single day, especially when I'm starting something new, or even me as a speaker, even me as a writer, me as a content creator. I'm always thinking about these things, okay? So I'm not going to take too much time with this, but make sure you're back focused. I know we've been, training for a little while. Make sure you're back focused. If you got to stretch, whatever, I want you to be locked in, okay? So number one, the first confidence builder is accomplishment, okay? And think about times in your life, right? The more you accomplish something, and let me be clear about accomplishment right quick. Accomplishment doesn't always mean achieving. Let me break this down because I might have lost some of y'all with that. What I mean by that is, it's kind of what we talked about at the beginning. Like so many times we think accomplishment means perfection, or accomplishment means achieving, or accomplishment means arriving. Sometimes accomplishment is being scared and doing it anyway. That's accomplishment. Sometimes accomplishment is just taking that step. Sometimes accomplishment is just starting, right? There's accomplishment in attempting. Now, achieving is great. Nothing wrong with that. If you do something and you're perfect at it, great. I'm not saying perfection is a bad thing. But if you allow that to be your main focus, it's going to be hard for you to be confident. So realize accomplishment builds confidence. And the more you do something, the more you achieve something, right? In the terms that we're talking about. So if you're setting a standard for yourself or a goal for yourself, and you say, okay, I want to do this, I want to run a half marathon. Your day might look like, okay, well, I haven't even ran a mile yet before in my life. Let me go run a mile. And you might go run that mile, and guess what? You might not make that mile. You might have to walk some of it. Is that failure? Absolutely not. That's accomplishment. You might not have done it the way you wanted to do it, but you're a lot further ahead than not starting at all, okay? 1 win a day. Write this quote down if it's not on your worksheet. 1 win a day keeps low self-esteem away. Okay, so I know when I'm feeling low, when I'm in a low self-esteem state, it's because I'm not setting myself up to win. It's because I'm not winning. And when I talk about winning, it's a part of the protect your peace process that I'm sure I'm going to train on at some point during this year. Set your day up for you to win. Okay, with 1 win, should I say. And that's going to set your day up to win. But 1 win. I don't care if it's today. For example, for me, it was a few wins, but the win that probably some of y'all wouldn't even associate with me was washing the dishes. It was literally a goal that I had before I left the house. I want to wash the dishes when I wake up. And I do it because, I don't want dirty dishes, and I like to get brownie points from Maria. But I also do it because I can check off a box. And the more you check off boxes in your life, right, the more you bring confidence, okay? So find 1 win a day, and I promise you when that low self-esteem creeps in, it'll keep it away. The second confidence builder is consistency. World-class success, or let me rephrase this. Success doesn't always depend on world-class talent, but what it does depend on is world-class consistency. The reason that I'm at where I'm at today is simply this: consistency. It's showing up every single day. I mean, I made videos, as they say, you do 10,000 hours, you become an expert at something. I'm probably well over 10,000 hours. When I first started on this journey, people were like, were you always good on camera? Absolutely not. But you know what? I kept showing up on camera. Repetition, do you hear me? Repetition is the father of learning. Repetition is fear's worst nightmare. When you keep doing something over and over and over again, you become great at it. You have no choice. Think about something that you sucked at, okay? Think about something that you sucked at in your life. I don't care what it is. Think about something that you were not good at, but you just kept on doing it over and over and over again, and you become great at it. People consider you an expert. People think you were born that way. But all you did was you repped it out. You just kept doing it over and over and over again. And what you're doing, you're building muscle memory. You know, I was always a great football player because I had 2 older brothers. But when I became legendary, you know, in Texas, it's because as a receiver, I wasn't that good as a receiver. As a football player, as a running back, you give me the ball and run. But as a receiver, running routes and being technical, for my football heads out there, you know what I'm talking about. I wasn't that good at running routes. I wasn't. But guess what I did every single day? I ran routes. I kept running routes. You know, I had pretty good hands, but my hands weren't the best. Guess what I did? I kept being on the jug machine, catching the footballs every single day. Bang, bang, bang. And it built up that muscle memory. Okay, so if you want to build confidence, be consistent, right? Repetition. Me on stage as a speaker, it's just repetition. And when you're consistent and you have that repetition, it becomes second nature to you. Think about driving, for example. And some of y'all might still be terrible drivers, but think about driving. Think about when you first got behind the wheel for most of you. Like you were nervous, you were driving with 2 hands on the steering wheel. I know I was like, especially at driver's ed. Well, actually my parents taught me, I did the home driver's ed class. So when my dad was in the car, my dad was cool. But my mom, like she's picky on everything. So I had both hands on the wheel, like I'm using my blinker. I'm stopping at the stop sign for 30 seconds and all of that type of stuff. Now, I probably shouldn't say this, I might get in trouble. But now I'm driving like I'm a professional NASCAR driver. And I'm sure you guys are the same. What happened? Were you great at it? No. You just kept showing up regardless, okay? So that's the thing. Show up regardless. When you show up regardless, you'll be consistent. When you're consistent, you'll bring and build more confidence in your life. Number 3, this is like from left field. Self-care, okay? Self-care is not selfish. I believe one of my secret sauces is that I truly practice self-care in my life. And it allows me to disconnect from the world. It allows me to focus on myself. It allows me to prepare myself, which we're going to talk about in a minute. It allows me to reflect. It allows me to plan. And so many of us, we're not confident because we're being controlled by the world. Think about this. We're being pulled as soon as we wake up. We're responding to the world. You might think, how does this deal with confidence? A lot. Because the first thing you do when you wake up, if you're being controlled by the world, you're not going to be confident throughout your day because it's out of your control, right? And as we talked about with the drainers, a lot of times we focus on the things that we can't control. And so I'm making sure that when I start my day, I'm practicing self-care. I'm making sure when I start my day, it's for me, right? Because the better I feel, the better I show up. You know, Deion Sanders said it best. You know, when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play good. When you play good, they pay good. And I always live by that. But it starts, right, by how you feel. It starts by how you look. And I'm not talking about from a vanity metric, but just how you feel inside your soul, okay? So self-care builds confidence. And that's probably not something you heard people talk about before. The 4th thing that builds confidence is progression, okay? Progression. And this year, I want each and every one of you to focus on progression, okay? I want you to, some of you know on a weight loss journey, right? What builds the most confidence on a weight loss journey? Even though we shouldn't be a slave to the scale because the scale doesn't always tell the truth. That's a whole nother topic. But when you see yourself getting in shape, or you see your mile time going down, or you look in the mirror, you see you losing inches, or you step on the scale, you see the numbers going down or maybe going up, whatever your goals are, your standards are that you're trying to live, that builds confidence. And so what I need you to do this year is make sure that you fall in love with progression. So I want you to track whatever standards that you set for your life, goals, I want you to track it. I want you to look at yourself growing. I want you to look at yourself progressing. And I'll tell you this, it's not easy. Progression is an ugly road that leads to a beautiful place. And so sometimes, even in my life, when I'm not feeling confident, even now, I go back and I watch old videos. And I'm like, wow, I'm glad I grew from there. When I'm not feeling confident in certain areas, and even if it's fitness, I go back and be like, oh, man, I was running 10 seconds slower back then. Okay, so fall in love with progression. Life is not always about who you're becoming, right? It's not always about that, because sometimes we get so locked on who we want to become. When we're not there yet, we get discouraged. A lot about life is understanding who you no longer are, right? Understand that you're growing with your life. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 5, and this is it. Number 5, preparation builds confidence. Okay, how you prepare, and we all prepare different. And I get this question all the time: Trent, what do you do before you speak? And some people prepare, they write everything out. Some people prepare, and I'm not telling you how to prepare, because preparation, it varies for each person. But for me, how I prepare is I listen to some music. I don't even worry about what I'm speaking about, because I'm like life preparing me, right? If I'm cramming stuff in before I go on stage, then I'm probably going to be into my head and not into my heart. And so preparation, it builds the confidence. So you want to set yourself up to win every single day. Put yourself in the best position to win. It reminds me when I was at Baylor. And y'all can look up this play. Just put Trent Shelton scores against Texas. It should pop up. But it reminds me when I was at Baylor. And a lot of coaches, they say this. And it's called like a visualizing, right? Like visualize yourself making plays. And it sounds good. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I visualize. So anyways, we had this trick play because when I was at Baylor, it wasn't that good. We're playing Texas at Texas. Texas is like ranked number 3 in the nation. And we thinking that we probably going to get blown out anyway, just being honest. So we got to pull out all the gadgets to gain momentum, right? Because you want to gain momentum because momentum is crazy. And so we run this trick play, and it's just like, y'all wouldn't understand the formation set, but it's one receiver, right? It's a jumbo formation, one receiver, and the one receiver is me. So it makes it look like we're about to run, right? Because the other receiver that's really good too, he wasn't on the field. So it's like, okay, they must be running the first play. So we run this play at practice, and what I do is I run the route. Well, I run act like I'm a block because they thinking it's a run play, and then I fake the block, and I take off, and my quarterback launches the ball. Every time we ran the play at practice, I kid you not, it didn't work. It sucked. We got sack, interception. It just didn't work. So I told the coach, I'm like, hey, man, we need to run something else. Like, if we're trying to get momentum, this is not going to work. And my coach said, man, you just got to believe. He said, what I want you to do, he said, I want you to run through this play 10 times. He said, I want you to see yourself lining up. He said, back up. He said, actually, I want you to see yourself getting dressed for the game. He said, because this is the first play of the game. He said, I want you to see yourself run out the tunnel. He said, I want you to be in the huddle, see yourself, hear the play call, see yourself lining up, hear the snap. He's like being vivid about every little detail. See yourself faking the block. See yourself running as fast as you can, catching it, scoring, crowd silent because we playing at UT, and see yourself celebrating. I couldn't celebrate too much because in college you get a flag. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'll do it. So I did it, bang, 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 get to the game. I kid you not. Because when I talk about preparation, it isn't always about, writing out your tasks or your day. Those things are great, but I'm talking about preparing your mind for greatness, right? Setting yourself up to win your day, to conquer your life, right? And it all starts up here. The greatest war you ever will face is not with them. It's not external. It's right here in your mind. And so the play, make a long story short, worked exactly like, and maybe we can add a link to it so y'all can see it, exactly like I pictured it. Kid you not. First play of the game, 67-yard touchdown, national television, probably helped me make it to the NFL, honestly, that play. Scored, everything. We ended up losing the game, though. But my point is, I visualized. My point is, I prepared myself for that moment. And I do the same thing in my life. I do the same thing when I'm stepping on stage. I do the same thing even before this. I prepared myself, not just with information, but I prepared myself mentally. I prepared myself with confidence so I can show up the best version of myself. All right? So here you go. That's what confidence is all about. If you learn how to let go of those drainers, and when those drainers come up, because you're human, it's going to come up. There's no technique to prevent fear, right? There's no technique to stop opinions. There's no technique to, not have any type of rejection. But now when those things come up, now you have a system to be able to evaluate it. Now you can change your perspective. And now you can build your confidence every single day with those 5 things that we talked about, right? Accomplishment, consistency, self-care, progression, fall in love with it, and preparation, all right? It is time to make the world respect your greatness, and it's time that you become legendary. And legends have confidence. You can't become legendary if you're not confident. All right, you have no reason not to be confident because there's only one you in the world. Only one you. You can't find confidence in that? You're special. You're enough. Like I say at the end of every single training, it all starts with you. All right, it's rehab time. Let's get it. I'll see you next month. Straight up.